Government. That process expected to take several days. The agreement contains a 3 full-year appropriations bill that will fund certain departments like agriculture through next fall and resolution to fund the rest of the government at existing spending levels through the end of January. It would also fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, once known as food stamps, through next September. The deal could include a guaranteed separate vote on the expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies that Democrats now want to extend. President Trump says he's confident right now that a deal will get the actual closure over soon.
We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you.
And just this past weekend, the president floated the idea of giving Americans cash for health care costs and $2,000 checks as tariff dividends. As, of course, we learn more, we'll keep you posted both on air and online. Shannon?
Thank you. The government shutdown continues to impact air travel as reduced staff for TSA workers and air traffic controllers continue to make flights either delayed or just canceled altogether.
Since the announcement of the reductions at 40 airports across the country, Friday saw 1,000 flights canceled. Saturday had 1,500 flights canceled, and there were 10,000 flight delays on Sunday alone. And it might get worse before it gets better. The FAA mandated flight cancellation was at 4% over the weekend. That number will hit 10% by Friday, November 14th. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy also saying that an end to the government shutdown would not immediately restore air traffic controllers because it will take time for them to all return to work. And we're keeping a close eye on flights being impacted by the government shutdown. Right now, SDF's departure board shows 6 canceled flights today. Muhammad Ali International was one of 40 airports that have flight reductions by the Federal Aviation Administration. Airport officials say it's important to check from updates from your airline before you head to the airport.
LMPD is investigating after a child was shot and killed on Bardstown Road. Investigators say it happened not far from Beulah Church Road Saturday night. LMPD's homicide unit says it appeared the child shot themselves. Metro Councilman Kevin Bratcher says the incident speaks to larger concerns for parents on children's mental health and gun ownership.
You know, the parents out there, you need to take responsibility for your weapons. Kentucky is a red state. Kentucky loves its guns, but with gun ownership comes a great responsibility. My gosh, you can't have them around children. You need to either lock them up or get them out of the way.
We also asked Bratcher about whether proposing an ordinance to require stronger restrictions on guns would be among his considerations. He said local ordinance measures like that would be challenged through the courts and would require statewide changes in the law. LMPD has not said if charges would be filed in the case.
One person is recovering after a Louisville apartment fire. It happened Saturday night on Goldsmith Lane. Crews responded to a fire and found a 2-story apartment building with the second floor engulfed in flames. Firefighters rescued one adult, and that person was taken to U of L Hospital. Investigators have not said what caused the fire.
Today, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is laying out how it will try to keep roads clear from snow and ice as we get closer to winter. Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray and Kentucky State Police Trooper Scotty Sharp will join highway crews to highlight winter readiness efforts. They'll also talk about new equipment and materials and the importance of driving safely during the winter. It's happening today at 1 at the KYTC maintenance facility in Frankfort. All right, here is Rob right now taking a look at our roads for this morning.
Shannon, thanks so much as you head out there. Keep the seat warmers on and, of course, the seat belts buckled. And we do have an incident we want to talk about right now. Getting reports of a crash. This is Dixie Highway near West Point, just before the Jefferson County line. The Hardin County Sheriff confirming that there was a crash out there. And so there is some backup in part of our shot out there. You'll want to watch out for that area out there this morning. Still getting more details on that. Don't have any word on injuries. But again, if you're approaching that area, certainly give yourself a lot of extra time and space out there. Otherwise, things looking pretty good on your Monday morning. We'll keep you posted with any other changes. Back to you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that, Rob. A quick update on the next 12 hours. We'll feature these snow showers moving through the area. This is not the main batch we've already had this morning. The main batch is on its way, dropping down south of the IU campus in Bloomington right now, where visibility is less than a mile at the moment, like a full-on snow globe there. And yeah, do see that happening here. In the next 2 to 3 hours, it will arrive. We'll talk much more about that, the radar views, and what to expect out of it as well, come up in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Brian. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is directing states to not issue full SNAP benefits this month. We'll tell you the reason why and how it may affect families coming up after the break.
Well, good morning to you. Yep, it is an alert day today.
Yeah, and you'll want to bundle up too, right, Brian?
Yeah, wind chills in the teens. Some spots around 13 right now, and we'll see likely a repeat of that 24 hours from now as well. Also, the time of the year too. We've been talking a lot about preparing for the scattered snow showers today. Just know where the gloves are, the hat, the winter coats, the ice scraper, but also be prepared for, I'm sure, some treatment on the roads later on tonight. So time to get that salt back on our cars again. It's always a fun time of year. All right, there's some of that leftover snow this morning, some of the grassy areas in E-Town, but nothing on the roads. All right, this was all off to the side, and it's been so windy. Majority of the roads have been drying up easily with those gustier winds, but they work against us on temperature, right? So it's 28, but it feels like 18 with that gustier wind, and that's not going anywhere. It'll be like that all day today. Winter weather advisories are out. Most of you watching are impacted by this. Officially kicks in at 9 o'clock, but in general, this is just a daytime round that we'll be looking at of these snow showers. All right, everyone's below freezing. In fact, we're all in the 20s outside, and that still is not allowing for a lot of widespread issues with ice, only because the ground warm temps. But we're going to be stuck in this environment much of the day today with only modest improvement, so that when the snow does end tonight, any melting we have out there and the wind is going to be relaxing, yeah, the potential to get more slick spots actually is going to be higher tonight, with us being even colder than where we are now, just because those other elements are taken off the table. So there's a lot to watch in the next 24 hours, hence why we got the alert day out. All right, a couple of changes I have made since we talked to you guys during the Sunrise show on the TV side there. Is we've got these showers, I want to say downpours, but basically our snow, moving across areas of Meade County back into E-Town. You can see that particular one into E County, I mean, that's a fairly moderate snow band. So, yeah, I'm sure right when buses were trying to roll out, it probably did make for slick conditions there in Breckenridge and into Meade. But you can already see hints of our next batch of snow that is dropping in. Now, I've been watching the circulation on this. This band on the western side is really going to enhance as it drops down to the south and eventually southeast. Based on that, I am going to adjust a bit on the snowfall amounts. I'll show you in a second. There's the winter weather advisory that is out. Most everybody watching is included in that. You see those snow chances going up. This is likely going to be raised up even more, likely to about a 80-90% chance here. Here's Futurecast. It does a good job, too, of showing that batch of at least moderate snow that kind of wraps around Louisville. We'll get some into Indiana and 71, kind of grazing Louisville, and there probably will be a spot where there's nothing kind of in the middle, the donut hole effect. But I do think at least on the curve around for our southwest counties could get a little interesting later on this afternoon and tonight before it all ends. So what I've decided to do, I increase the zone there in our southwest side here of Indiana and our southwest counties in Kentucky to up to 1 inch of snowfall, less than an inch everywhere else, and then back up to an inch or higher around Cincinnati. But there could be a bit of overachieving, again, our southwest side here of the Louisville area. We'll be watching it. So where do we go from this snowy setup today? Well, we got to get through one more night of really cold air. Temperatures dropping down into the mid-20s. So we're going to hold on to the alert day to account for any slick spots that could be lingering. Could be some, again, school delays or cancellations. I'm thinking delays makes more sense. That could be found early on Tuesday with actual numbers running in the teens in some spots, but wind chills in the teens area wide. Yeah, it is going to be a bitterly cold morning. For the rest of the day for the Veterans Day setup, temperatures will climb into the 40s as we head into this afternoon. 60s and 70s. There we go. We fall out in a matter of days before we even get to Friday, in fact. So it's not all bad news when you look at the 10-day.
Yeah, that's a good point there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Anchorage Middletown Fire and EMS is trying to figure out what sparked a house fire. This happened around 3 o'clock Sunday morning at a house near 7 Green Lane near Polo Fields Golf Club. Firefighters arrived to find flames coming through the roof. No one was home at the time. The department says the person who lives at the house was out of town. No damage was reported to nearby homes.
Elizabethtown police say scammers are trying to trick people by claiming to be a loved one in jail. Police say they've gotten reports of scammers spoofing calls from the Hardin County Detention Center's phone number, and the callers claim a friend or family member has been arrested. They say the jail is overcrowded. They ask for $50 to release them with an ankle monitor. The Hardin County Detention Center does not issue ankle monitors and will never ask for money over the phone. If you get a call like this, report it to police.
In a new development, the U.S. Department of Agriculture is now directing states not to issue full SNAP benefits this month. Just Friday, the department said it will begin fully funding SNAP benefits 1 day after a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to do so. According to memos sent out late Saturday, the USDA told state SNAP agencies to immediately undo steps taken to issue full food stamp payments, calling them unauthorized. Failure to comply could result in the USDA canceling the federal share of administration costs or holding states financially liable for, quote, any overissuances that result from the noncompliance. It's unclear exactly how the USDA expects states to undo any SNAP funding already given out.
President Trump is floating the idea of giving Americans rebate checks using the money generated by tariffs. In a social media post, the president says people who don't support tariffs are, quote, fools. The president claims the U.S. is taking in trillions of dollars from tariffs and will soon start paying down $37 trillion in debt. He also said a dividend of at least $2,000 would be paid to everyone, but not including, quote, high-income people. Right now, the U.S. Supreme Court is considering a challenge to President Trump's authority to impose tariffs through executive orders.
You might be paying a heftier price for many of your gifts and treats this holiday season. The reason is due to the amount of sweeping tariffs in place. Emma Norwood reports.
As families are gearing up for the holidays, price tags may be a bit steeper this year. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, toy prices rose 1.8% following President Donald Trump's tariff enforcement.
Number of factors that have kind of come into play where a lot of our toy prices and a lot of the products have really started to increase in price over the last year, especially. And it's not just like one factor. Tariffs are a big thing that has really affected the pricing.
Hobbytown USA, a local toy store in Southeast Lincoln, sells everything from race cars to board games. The owner, Daniel Schmidt, tells me they have seen an increase in prices for different products, the biggest being wooden toys, Legos, and Barbies.
A lot of the wood prices have gone up, a lot of the metal prices have gone up, and that's affected normal traditional toys. So those are some of the big factors that have really made toy prices go up across the board. A lot of stuff has just gone up a little bit. It's not bad, but it's real. It's definitely happened.
But their biggest goal, keeping customers happy so they don't have to worry about the prices before the holidays.
I've really tried to do my best to time stuff so that I got them in before the price increase, or staged things where I could get things ahead of time and we weren't affected as much by it, and then I can pass on those savings to the customer.
And just ahead, the Louisville Zoo is bringing back a special promotion that aims to help the community. We'll share how you can help this holiday season after the break.
We're just 45 days away from Christmas, and you can start marking your calendars for some holiday events that are happening this season. Miracle on Market Holiday Pop-Up Bar will be open for the season on November 18th. It's located at 732 East Market Street inside Galaxy in Nulu. It's a fully decorated holiday decor space where you can get specialty cocktails, enjoy Christmas movies, and karaoke. The bar will be open 7 days a week through December 28th.
And the National Retail Federation projects holiday shoppers will top $1 trillion for the first time, despite economic uncertainty and rising prices. The retail experts say shoppers remain price conscious and they're looking at buying cheaper brands, but are still spending on gifts for family and friends. Consumers plan on spending an average of $890 on holiday gifts, food, and decorations.
Have you already started your holiday shopping?
As a mom, whenever my kids say they need something, I say, put it on the Christmas list.
And yes. Yeah, they give you a list too, so you can shop early.
Right.
Yeah, but this isn't even really shopping early. This is like kind of on time. And I'm always the late shopper.
Yeah. But if they say, hey, we need some toothpaste, I say, put it on the Christmas list.
There you go. Everything is from Santa these days.
Everything, yes. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back.
This Wave News Update is sponsored by Oxmoor Auto Group.
All right, good morning, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good, as we have had some snow showers right around this area for the morning hours. Nothing too heavy and nothing that's causing any major problems, although we do have a couple of districts into Meade and Breckenridge that are running a little bit on delay today because of some icy patches in that area. But overall, down into E-Town itself, you can see that most of it was on the grass earlier today. Road temps have been all right, and there's a lot of wind, too, which is really drying out any of the roads that tried to get a bit on the wet side. 28 degrees in Louisville. Feels like 18 when you step outside. Winter weather advisory is out for just about everyone watching for not only some slick spots that can occur, especially on bridges and overpasses, but for the idea of these snow showers moving in. The second phase of this today will have much more of a kick to them and could lower the visibility and allow for some slick spots when they occur. So that's something we'll just take hour by hour. 28 now here in Louisville, 26 in Cordon. We got these spotty snow showers in Kentucky, but this is the batch of snow that is going to be dropping in from the north as we head into later this morning and midday. They'll be here all the way through sunset, and these snow showers at times will have a kick to them, producing some very light amounts in the area. I'll have more on this coming up as we head throughout the day. Let's check in with Rob Wells, though, because we do have a crash to talk about in the southwest part of the county there.
Brian, thanks so much, and good morning to you at 728. Yeah, it is something we're keeping our eye on. We're talking about 3 cars. This is at the Dixie Highway Salt River Bridge area. We have learned from the sheriff's office 2 cars collided, then a third one slid into them. Again, a 3-car accident. No reports or definitions of any type of injuries there, but you're going to watch that area as there are several backups. Again, this is Dixie Highway at Salt River Bridge area. At least 3 cars involved in a crash. This is breaking out about 25 minutes ago. We'll have more for you throughout the morning.
Good Monday morning to you. Thanks so much for starting your day with us here on Sunrise Extra. I want to start with that deadly UPS plane crash. We've learned some loved ones of the victims killed in that crash are already taking action and filing a lawsuit. Now, 2 law firms have filed lawsuits representing several Kentucky families of the injured and deceased. The lawsuits both say they want to hold someone accountable for the crash. Investigators say the plane's left engine detached from the plane during takeoff. Mayor Craig Greenberg says the county coroner is working to release the names of all 14 victims who were killed. 11 of the victims were on the ground. The other 3 were the crew members of the plane. Mayor Greenberg says nobody else has been reported unaccounted for. People in our area continue to come together in the wake of that devastating crash. We've seen vigils in recent days as people try to heal, and one Louisville man is trying to help in a different way. A few months ago, Clyde Lang began building crosses for Lutheran Church charities. The crosses are built for mass casualty events. Lang builds about 3 crosses a month, hoping to never have to use them, but that changed last week when that UPS flight tragically crashed, killing 14 people. The crosses were part of a vigil to honor those impacted just 48 hours after the crash.
It's sad that it has to happen in my community. At the same time, it's very fulfilling to know that I've maybe played a very small part in people working through that process.
Lang says the cross is built so it can be used for non-religious events. People can show their respects and sympathy by signing it. And victim services are still being offered for loved ones and family members of anyone hurt or killed in the crash. They're encouraging people to call the assistance hotline. That number is 800-631-0604. The head of the BBC and the British broadcaster's top news executive both resigned Sunday after criticism of the way the organization edited a speech by President Donald Trump. The BBC said the Director General, Tim Davie, and new CEO, Deborah Turnus, have both decided to leave the corporation. Britain's public broadcaster has been criticized for editing a speech Trump made on January 6th of 2021 before protesters attacked the Capitol in Washington. Critics said the way the speech was edited for a BBC documentary last year was misleading and cut out a section where Trump said he wanted supporters to demonstrate peacefully. New this morning, a man is in the Nelson County Jail after sheriff's deputies say he led officers on a chase riding a motorcycle. Investigators say they tried to stop Frank Livers for speeding on JT Riggs Road on Saturday. Deputies say he didn't stop for 6 miles. A deputy tased Livers after they say he was reaching around his waistband. Investigators say they found 62 grams of meth on him. He's charged with fleeing or evading police, wanton endangerment, and trafficking a controlled substance. Debt collection calls are spiking nationwide, according to consumer advocates. They're noticing tactics to get a hold of you are becoming more aggressive. Some people are receiving calls at all hours of the day. As we get close to the holidays, National Consumer Investigative reporter Carice Jackman looks into debt dialing and what consumers can do.
The calls can be ridiculous. They just call in at all times on the day. They just want the money. They don't care what time they call you, how many times, they try to act like they're your friends or family. I would say I probably was like $40,000 in credit card debt.
Shortly after her divorce in 2020 was the beginning of Kiana Blake's debt downfall.
I went from 2 incomes to 1, but just about the same amount of bills. So they just started calling me. So I had so many cards that I had like an Excel spreadsheet. If it's highlighted, it was a credit card that I was trying to work on paying off.
Mentally, what does that do to you when you're getting, especially the aggressive ones, the kind of threatening debt collector calls?
I would say it stresses you out. It almost makes you, kind of want to comply. The more aggressive ones, you probably tend to pay first because, they're going to call you.
Blake is not alone. Millions of Americans face mountains of debt, which, when unresolved, lead to nonstop calls from debt collectors. And while legitimate debt collectors have the right to call, experts tell us many still blur the line on what's ethical versus harassment. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA, makes it illegal for debt collectors to harass or threaten you when trying to collect on a debt. For example, collectors can't generally do things like threaten violence, use obscene language, or repeatedly call someone with the intent to annoy them.
Well, it can be very deceitful. The first thing that I always tell people is initially, before you make any arrangements, any agreements with anybody, you ask them to send you validation of the debt in writing.
Debt collection reports from the Federal Trade Commission show that calls are surging from 219,000 in 2024 to over 278,000 so far this year. That's around 27%. And 41% of consumers reported receiving calls for debt they did not owe or found the calls were abusive and threatening.
They think that Because the person is coming off aggressive, they feel threatened. They feel like I have to make the decision at this moment. And that's just really not the case.
Investigate TV combed through 15,000 consumer complaints made to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, dating back 10 years, about frequent debt collection calls. We found most of the complaints surrounded credit cards, medical debt, auto, and payday loans. Danny Karen is a consumer attorney, law professor, and author. He's had his own battle fighting with debt collectors in the courtroom and recently settled a case for $7.5 million dealing with these exact problems.
When does it become illegal?
It's illegal when a debt collector crosses the line, when they do certain things that the FDCPA says they can't do. They call earlier than they should, they call after they should. They threaten, they lie, they say the debt is worth more than it is. They say they're going to sue you. Certain ugly things that border on harassment or are harassment are things that often check or trigger the FDCPA and can trigger a federal case.
So how are things right now, Kiana? Are things looking up? How are they right now?
I would say things are definitely looking up from about 40,000 to probably like 13,000. So I should have that paid off in the next year or so.
And have the calls stopped?
Absolutely, because I'm not behind on anything. No reason to call me.
So if you're having issues with a debt collector, you can file a complaint with the state attorney general. And if you're in need of legal help, you can visit lawhelp.org. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Thanks for staying with us here for Sunrise Extra. We're getting a firsthand look inside a Massachusetts prison where there's a unique program providing inmates with a purpose. Mike Cerullo shows us how they're training puppies to give to veterans.
Serving time inside the Pondville Correctional Center can look a lot different than what you see on TV.
I always had dogs growing up.
This is Raymond Rosa, and this is Chesty.
He's kind of calm, laid back, more than like the other dogs here.
The pair spend all day together, 5 days a week.
We teach him like heel, side, how to retrieve items and stuff.
And eventually, when Chesty is ready, he'll be given to either a veteran or a first responder in need.
I feel like it gives me a sense of purpose for myself.
It's part of a partnership with America's Vet Dogs. The nonprofit provides service and guide dogs to veterans and first responders, like Joe Worley, a military veteran who served in Iraq in 2004. He was a medic rushing to help others when he was hit by a grenade.
I have always been happier when I'm taking care of people, and I didn't know how I was going to do that when I just lost a leg above the knee and my right leg's completely jacked up.
Worley got his first dog from the program a couple years later, and now he's paired with his third dog, Scotty, crediting the animals with enhancing his recovery and helping him get back to doing what he loves, helping others.
It sort of got that spark burning again that I thought was sort of getting dimmed.
So far at Pondville, inmates have trained up more than 150 dogs.
The main benefit is so much structure. The inmates have them 24/7.
There's a vetting process and behavioral standards inmates must meet. DOC Commissioner Sean Jenkins says the program changes the culture inside the prison.
Gives them that skill set to help with the workforce later on in life, but also gives them that sense of purpose.
And gives inmates tools they'll use when they eventually re-enter society.
Responsibility, consistency, and accountability.
With Veterans Day being tomorrow, people took to the streets of Nulu to show appreciation for veterans and the annual Veterans Day Parade. The city honoring the courage, service, and sacrifice of America's veterans and active duty military. The event celebrated them with featured military vehicles that served as early as World War II. The parade marked its 15th year in Louisville. It's the first time, though, it's been held in Nulu. It also honored those who were chosen as a hero among us, who received the special recognition and rode in restored World War II vehicles. The family-friendly event connected generations to celebrate service and sacrifice.
We want our youngsters to realize the freedoms that they have, but we want the military and those that are coming through here and whoever's watching to let them know they're not forgotten.
Veterans at the event said it was great to spend time with others, listening to their stories about where and when they served. And amid the ongoing veteran mental health crisis across our country, a growing number of wounded warriors are turning to novel therapies in order to find peace. That includes psychedelic-assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. Michael Yoshida reports.
Something that I dove headfirst into and never looked back.
Veteran Navy SEAL Marcus Capone always answered the call.
So Team 10 and Naval Special Warfare Development Group, and multiple combat tours to both Afghanistan and Iraq.
Serving until physical and mental wounds of war took their toll.
Went to see the psych and he said, you know, Marcus, you're the 200th guy that's come in here. I assume it's from going down range, but you know, I really don't know how to take care of this at the moment.
Marcus tried different doctors, medicines, and therapy, but things only got worse until 2017, when his wife Amber approached him with a Hail Mary, psychedelic-assisted therapy.
Honestly, I thought it was crazy.
After research and seemingly out of other options, Marcus decided it was worth traveling outside the U.S. to a clinic in Mexico, where the legal but unregulated psychedelic Ibogaine is combined with therapy and medical monitoring.
My life completely changed. I did a 180. I felt again. I feel like I haven't felt anything in years. I was able to be, human again.
This therapy isn't for everyone, and there are different approaches. Some use Ibogaine, LSD, ketamine, or MDMA to enhance the effectiveness of talk therapy and help patients reprocess traumatic memories.
Most of our standard psychiatric medications are meant to suppress symptoms. Psychedelics used in this way are not meant to suppress symptoms. They're meant to help people get in touch with and process.
Dr. Barbara Rothbaum has been pioneering PTSD treatments for decades, including an ongoing Department of Defense-funded study looking at effects of combining MDMA with therapy that helps patients gradually confront trauma.
It's not MDMA like kids are going to get in the clubs. People are monitored, they're screened to make sure it's safe for them to take it. They've got a lot of safety conditions, and it's combined with a lot of therapy.
Right now, except for a few exemptions, possession of psychedelics is a federal crime. But the tides may be changing when it comes to medical treatment, with possible support of Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins.
We're opening up the possibility of psychedelic treatment and others that give us an opportunity. We got to research it, make sure it's good.
While several states have passed bills supporting research into psychedelic therapy, it could be years before a federally approved treatment is available.
We shouldn't be fighting a war for our country, and then when we come home, have to travel outside the country to receive treatments.
Marcus and his wife Amber are working to help others find peace and healing through their nonprofit VETS. That stands for Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. And there are more resources to prevent veteran suicide from PTSD. Jake Crosswaite represents the Kentucky chapter of Irreverent Warriors, and it's a Navy veteran. The group's mission is to eliminate veteran suicide. They hold hikes with veterans to remind them of the culture and camaraderie as part of the military, while also serving as therapy.
I myself struggled with depression, PTSD, and TBI, and years ago, I almost committed suicide. So this became very important to me when I found them in 2021, when me and my wife were traveling. And it's been a way for me to give back and also to help on self-reflection and with my own mental battles.
If you or someone you know is struggling, the number for the National Suicide Crisis and Crisis Lifeline is 988. Guns to Guard in Louisville held an event over the weekend to seek ways to address and help the problem of gun violence in our area. The organization takes firearms that were no longer wanted by their owners and makes safe use of the materials by making tools. The guns were dismantled by chop saws and turned into gardening tools, art, and jewelry. Those who donated a gun got the chance to watch that firearm be dismantled. Guns to Guard in Louisville hopes they can have gun disposal events more often in the future.
And this is a way that we feel that the community can be safer by having less guns in them. But we also know that for the people who came today to bring these guns, it was a personal decision. It was because they had that gun in their home, but they didn't feel safe having that gun in their home any longer.
Other projects of Gun to Guard in Louisville includes community book discussions, screening of films about gun violence, and advocacy and educational opportunities. If you plan on grocery shopping anytime soon, you can join Kroger in efforts to fight hunger here in Wave Country. The grocery store chain is hosting a food drive to support Dare to Care and local food pantries with the uncertainty of funding for SNAP benefits. With many people needing extra assistance, more options are essential, so Kroger will have donation boxes inside the store where you can drop off non-perishable food items. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with some sports headlines coming up in 2 minutes. Well, here's an interesting crossover. The Simpsons have taken over Fortnite. Rick Damigella has the story, plus more video game news from Hollywood.
Fortnite comes to Springfield. Fortnite's 80-player Battle Royale Island has become the animated town of Springfield for the month of November. In addition to giant donuts falling from the sky and a themed battle pass, the event will feature new animated Simpsons shorts premiering weekly in-game.
Hello, everyone. How have you been?
If you, like this reporter, haven't visited your Animal Crossing New Horizons island for some time, Nintendo is giving players lots of reasons to revisit the game. Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch 2 Edition will feature enhanced resolution, a new megaphone item letting players find their animal friends faster, and 12-person multiplayer support. The game lands January 15th. New Pokemon appear. Pokemon TCG Pocket Mega Rising is the latest expansion to the digital card trader. The update brings Mega Evolution Pokemon to the game to collect, trade, and battle with. The new packs are available now for iOS and Android players. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Turning now to basketball, Indiana got in on the action as they traveled to Chicago to take on Marquette at a neutral site game. It's a new era in Bloomington with head coach Darren DeVries that was on full display Sunday. The team finished with 14 threes made, 27 assists, and forced 15 turnovers on their way to a dominant 100-77 win. It was IU's first time reaching 100 points in 2 years and followed the 98 points it scored in the opening season opening win over Alabama A&M. They're back in action Wednesday, taking on Milwaukee at 7 p.m. Well, here's something so many of us are looking forward to. The big rivalry game is back. U of L taking on UK at the KFC Yum Center tomorrow. It's the earliest this game has been played. Definitely feels really early. The Cards coming off a win over Jackson State, winning that one 106-70. The Cats also won their last game against Valparaiso. That final score 107-59. So big opportunity for this to be a high-scoring game here tomorrow night. This is also the first time the two teams have come to the matchup ranked since 2019. That game was a thriller. Went into overtime. The Cats ended up winning it in Lexington. Tip-off is tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at the KFC Yum Center, and you can watch it on ESPN. As for the U of L women's basketball team, they made their home debut yesterday. The Cards looking to make a comeback following their defeat to UConn. However, those struggles continued for the Cards as they took just a 3-point lead into halftime against Northern Kentucky. The third quarter, much like the first two, only an 8-point lead into the fourth, and that's where they flipped a switch, outscoring NKU 33-13 in the final quarter. They win the game by a final score of 89-61. The Cards are back in action at the Yum Center on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, taking on Colorado. So basketball season is here. Such an exciting time. That's all the time we have here for Wave Sunrise Extra. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you keep up with meteorologist Brian Good and all of our weather team because they're going to have those updates about the snow. Hope you can stay warm throughout all of it and be safe on the roads. Have a good day.